The Borderlands franchise has always been known for its insane weapon variety, and Borderlands 4 is no different, but one weapon type stands tall above the rest, and it's the shotguns. These things absolutely melt enemies, but with so many options out there, which ones are actually worth farming? Don't stress, I've got you covered. Today we're breaking down the 5 best legendary shotguns every Vault Hunter needs in their arsenal, and if I missed your favorite, let me know in the comments below. Let's not waste any more time. Starting off with number 5, we've got the Kickballer. It's a little bit of a controversial pick. You probably already heard about it online, considering it's completely busted with the Jacobs license, but it's definitely still amazing without that license. Now, the Kickballer fires a small grenade that explodes on impact and ricochets into another grenade and everything like that, dealing huge single target damage or AoE damage. Most enemies get one shot depending on your build, and its unique effect, the Force Bunt, while not listed on the card, it also gives that grenade a small chance to jump from one enemy to another enemy, like a ricochet and everything like that. And now if you do pair it with the Jacobs license attachments, those crits will ricochet your grenades into an endless loop of chaos. Now, as you could see in the footage, when I use the Jacob license one, this version will kill you and everything else nearby. Now, the normal version, while it won't down you 100% of the time, it does have a pretty high chance to down you. But again, the special unique effect Force Bunt allows that little grenade that the Kickballers shoots out to ricochet from enemy to enemy. Now, this thing does extreme damage. It's a Molly Wand shotgun, so it could come in a bunch of different elements, and it also could have a couple of different underbarrels. The one in the footage that you'll be seeing is going to be the Energy Disc underbarrel, which again is based on ricocheting and everything. So if you get this thing with the Jacobs license attachment, it's basically a one shot to any boss. However, it will also kill you. If you get it without the Jacobs license, congrats, you have one of the best shotguns in the game. Just be careful, this thing does have a unique firing pattern, it kind of like the hail, if you remember that from Borderlands 2. However, once you get used to it, you will be able to use this thing in an endless killing loop. Now, if you wanted to farm the Kickballer for yourself, you could get it as a dedicated drop from Slugger, which is a bit of a pain since it's a thrasher, but trust me, it's 100% worth the grind. Moving on to number 4, we have something a lot less likely to blow yourself up with. We have the Jacob shotgun, the Rainbow Vomit, which is a ridiculously unique name for a ridiculously unique weapon, and the weapon, like I said, is absolutely ridiculous. It fires waves of colorful elemental projectiles thanks to its unique effect, Color Spray, which lets it shoot a mix of 3 different droplets of elements, absolutely destroying pretty much any enemy in the entire game. So each version can roll with 3 different elements on it, so you could get Corrosive, Cryo, and then Fire, or you could get Radiation, Cryo, and Fire. You could get Shock, Cryo, and Fire, which is an insane combo, and you could also get various different types of underbarrels on this. So you could get the Knife Shot, you could also get a Spread Launcher underbarrel on this, which is absolutely insane. I've been farming that in my spare time just because that would be like a super unique and awesome tool to have on any Vault Hunter, especially a one-shot Amon build. But speaking of Amon builds, if you have a elemental build with Amon or Vex, this thing absolutely shreds. Now, like I said, you get some pretty nasty combinations of elements as well. If you have a Shock and if you have a Fire elemental one, it burns through shields and flesh without having to switch a weapon or anything like that, which is pretty insane. And also, it technically counts as explosive damage, so you'll get all of the explosive buffs as well. So if your build boosts multiple elements like Shock and Fire, the Rainbow Vomit benefits from both at once, which is pretty insane. Now, this weapon could pretty much benefit from almost every single Vault Hunter, because every single Vault Hunter has some skill that will boost elemental damage or will boost a certain type of elemental damage, and the Rainbow Vomit being a Jacobs shotgun that could spawn in any element is pretty insane. So also, if you shoot a projectile, or if you shoot a enemy in the head, or if you get a critical, the projectiles will also ricochet to another target, so keep that in mind. Personally, this is one of my favorite weapons in the entire game. I think every Vault Hunter should have it, and it's one of the best shotguns in the entire game. Now, you could farm this beauty from Leader Wilhelm. You'll have to complete a full quest line first, but it's a bit of a setup and worth every single second. It's a super easy farm for probably one of the best shotguns in the entire game. If you disagree, let me know in the comments, but I really don't think anyone's going to disagree with it. It's one of the most fun weapons to use in Borderlands 4 and one of the most effective weapons to use as well. And at number 3, I know some people are going to be pretty upset with this placement because it's definitely a community favorite. It's going to be the Bod shotgun. Now, its unique effect all-rounder makes it count as a shotgun, AR, sniper, pistol, and SMG all at once. May not sound that unique, but if you think about it for more than 5 seconds, like most players already have, that means it benefits from every weapon type buff in the entire game. Any skill or enhancement or anything that boosts pistol, SMG, snipers, you name it, it all applies to this gun. If you have something that boosts SMG damage and sniper damage, it both applies to this weapon. It also deals an insanely high base damage, and depending on what alt fire you get, it can completely change how this weapon feels. Now, normally it comes with just a shotgun and then also a separate alt fire, so you could get a sniper alt fire, which means that it would fire slower, but it would hit like a truck, and you could get probably one of the best attachments in the entire game. You could get the alt fire for the SMG, which increases the fire rate tenfold, but keeps the same exact damage as the shotgun bot. So it's pretty insane. You're definitely going to want to get one that has a SMG alt fire. Now, if you find one with Torgue projectiles, it gets even crazier because you have that additional explosive damage. It could also come in any element. So just keep that in mind. You could get one in shock, you could get one in fire. This thing does crazy damage. This thing is absurdly versatile. It's definitely a shotgun that could fit any playstyle and any build. Out of all of the weapons on this list, this is the most versatile that every Vault Hunter should have, because if you're running a SMG Vex build, you could throw the bot on as long as you have that SMG alt fire. It doesn't have the biggest magazine in the entire world, but it's insane. If you put this thing on an infinite ammo Rafa, it's even crazier. If you put this thing onto a crit Amon, you will melt bosses, you will melt mobs, you will melt anything in the entire game. Now, if you wanted to farm the bot for yourself, you could farm it as a dedicated legendary drop from Axmal, which is a super easy farm and probably one of the better like mini boss farms in the entire game. It may be slightly overlooked, but it does drop. But Axmal does actually drop some of like the best loot in the entire game. So if you are farming for your perfect bot, just keep that in mind. You may walk away with some extra goodies, but like I said, it's coming in at number 3 just because I think that there's one shotgun that blows the bot out of the water. Everyone knows what it is at this point, and then also because I have to include my personal favorite at one spot above it that I think slightly beats out the bot, but isn't getting that much attention. Now, what 2 shotguns could I possibly think are better than the Bod shotgun? And coming in at number 2 is a weapon that should sound familiar to any Borderlands 2 or 3 players, and it's probably my favorite weapon, or at least shotgun, in the entire game. It's going to be the Anarchy shotgun. It's basically a spiritual successor to Gage's Anarchy skills from Borderlands 2, and it's actually like a lot better than her Anarchy skills in my opinion. Its unique effect, Multiism, grants 15% damage and minus 15% accuracy every time you auto reload or get a kill, stacking up to 20 times. Now, if you do the math, that's a potential 300% buff on damage and also a negative 300% nerf on accuracy, but trust me, you'll barely notice the accuracy drop off since the insane spread of this weapon actually covers everything. It's not like Gage's Anarchy skill where you won't be able to hit anything unless you're using certain weapons. This thing actually is able to hit enemies far away or up close, and because of that giant spread, it also is fantastic at dealing with volatile enemies. You just shoot into them and boom, all of the crystals pop off. There you go. It's not really, this is just like a lazy boy shotgun. If you just want to not really pay attention to what's going on and run drill sites, this shotgun is perfect for you. Now, once you've got your stacks going, this thing obliterates everything. Mobs, bosses, you name it. It's pure chaos and easily one of the most fun weapons to use in the entire game. Just be careful, like in Borderlands 2 with Gage's Anarchy skill, if you manually reload, all of your stacks reset, so prepare for some heartbreak moments. Personally, I think that this is probably one of the best guns in the game. I don't know why too many people aren't talking about it. It does have a little bit of a difficult farm, I'll explain that in a second, but I do think that the 300% damage buff is enough to take this weapon from kind of an unknown spot to literally one of the best weapons in the entire game. Give it a test for yourself if you don't believe me. Once you get those 20 stacks, like I said, it's pretty slow to begin with. It doesn't do the most damage, doesn't have the highest fire rate to begin with, but once you get that 300% damage buff from just simply killing 20 enemies or just, killing 10 enemies and reloading 10 times, you have 300% extra damage on top of the already pretty decent base damage. Plus, its red text even references the punk legends or sellouts, depending on how you see their career, the Sex Pistols, which is ultimately a fun nod. Now, like I mentioned, the farm isn't the best because it's from a somewhat difficult boss. You could grab the Anarchy as a dedicated legendary drop from the Primordial Guardian Radix, which is a Volt Guardian, so the farm is a little intense, like I said, but it's worth every second. You really shouldn't have too much trouble, especially if you're using any of the other shotguns on this list to farm, but the Anarchy, he has a bunch of references to a bunch of fun things like the Sex Pistols and Borderlands 2, and it's probably one of the most overlooked weapons in the entire game. Before we hit our number one spot, I just wanted to quickly shout out a couple non-legendary shotguns that absolutely deserve attention, and it's not any shotguns in particular, but it's going to be some shotguns with underbarrels that will absolutely obliterate any mob or boss. So firstly, I have to mention any blue or purple Maliwan shotgun with the beam splitter underbarrel. These things one-shot bosses on any UVHM level. It might get nerfed soon, so if you want a quick way to farm bosses or a quick way to farm any of the bosses on this list to get your shotgun, simply just look for a Maliwan shotgun with the beam splitter underbarrel. Doesn't matter how many beam splitters come with it or how many shots come with the beam splitter. As long as you have one, you'll be able to absolutely one-shot any boss in the entire game. Now, same deal with the any blue/purple Jacob shotguns with the spread launcher underbarrel. I did make a underbarrel video, check it in the description, going over the best underbarrels in Borderlands 4, but same deal with this massive burst damage, especially when paired with a crit knife. Great for quick boss farming. I would say shotguns are probably the best ways to farm bosses just because they have like the most overpowered underbarrels, but if you want to know more about them, check the description. I just dropped a video breaking down the best 3 in the entire game, and obviously I just wanted to show you that you don't really need to go after legendaries to do endgame content. You can handle literally all of the UVHM content in this game with a purple Maliwan shotgun and a purple Jacob shotgun, depending on the underbarrel. And unfortunately, there is no dedicated drop to farm these underbarrels or anything like that. However, though, if you do want some solid advice, I highly suggest that you check out Splash Zone and then just drill sites or any easy boss that you could kill in a matter of seconds. Basically, if you farm a boss or farm a drill site, you'll have a chance to get a bunch of blue or purple weapons, and the faster that you could get these blue or purple weapons to spawn in, the higher chance you have of actually getting a beam splitter or a spread launcher. So simply just go out there and farm up the easiest drill site that you can, or farm Splash Zone if you really don't have any gear to even farm a drill site. Splash Zone's going to be the way to go. Just spawn in, kill them a couple of times, and then you should eventually get a spread launcher or a beam splitter underbarrel to go and obliterate any boss that you want in one shot. But that's not why you're here. Moving on to the number one spot. And finally, at our number one spot, you already knew it was coming. It's everyone's favorite shotgun, no matter how many times they try and nerf it. It's the Hot Slugger. This thing is the definition of a one-shot machine because of its unique effect. The Blazing Barrel grants 30% damage for 10 seconds, up to 3 stacks every time you get a kill. So that's a total of 90% damage, and with this shotgun's already ridiculously high base damage, it feels like 10,000%. So the top 2 shotguns in the game, in my opinion, both have damage multipliers based on how many kills you get. The Anarchy has that 300% damage, and then the Hot Slugger has the 90% damage. Again, I did say that the Hot Slugger has been nerfed in the past. It actually was stronger than it currently is at one point in time when the game first came out. However, this thing, no matter how many times they nerf it, is still a one-shot. If you hit a crit on any UVHM, on pretty much any enemy, it's a one-shot. It's perfect for mobbing and bossing, and with a good crit build, you'll see massive chunks of health disappearing instantly. Like I said earlier, it's basically the Borderlands 4 version of a one-pump chump, a single shotgun that deals massive damage. It's insane. The only catch, though, is almost too strong. Even once you hit UVHM 5, this thing can feel kind of boring just because it one-shots everything. Still, for leveling, farming, or blasting through bosses, it's completely unbeatable for just a legendary shotgun. This thing is insane. I think every Borderlands kind of needs a weapon like this that could carry you through most of the game's content, no matter what your build is, until you're able to kind of, get your boots on the ground and figure everything out. And that's exactly what the Hot Slugger is. In Borderlands 2, you have the Unkept Herald that you're able to get pretty early on, and that thing could carry you through all of the game's content until you're able to get a solid build, and then you can go on to the UVHM levels, and the Hot Slugger is basically that. And you could farm a Hot Slugger for yourself as a dedicated drop from the Callous Harbinger of Annihilating Death, or my boy Chad. It is a tough fight, but it's absolutely worth it. Again, you just have to go through the bunker. It's not too difficult. You could just rush all the way to the end, but it is one of the more difficult fights in the game when you're lower level. However, if you are level 50, this thing is a little bit of a cakewalk, and I highly suggest you go out there and farm Chad to get a Hot Slugger pretty much right away. And there you have it, my picks for the top 5 legendary shotguns in Borderlands 4. Really, the top 3 are where the magic happens. Everyone's favorite, the Bod, my personal favorite, the Anarchy, and the king of them all, the Hot Slugger. If you had to pick any weapons off of this list to go and farm, I would highly suggest you go out there and you farm that. The Rainbow Vomit and the Kickballer can wait. They're kind of situational, you know what I mean? Or if you have an elemental build, then the Rainbow Vomit's for you. But personally, the Bod, Anarchy, and again, the Hot Slugger, no matter which one you farm, these shotguns will carry you through pretty much all of the difficult content in the entire game, and they're fit for pretty much any playstyle, mobbing, bossing, or just pure chaos. If I miss your favorite legendary shotgun, let me know in the comments, and as always, I appreciate you motherfuckers for watching this motherfucking video. Good luck out there farming up all of these legendaries.